Hey everyone and welcome back to another video for today. So a quick update on BMNR. As you know, I own 169 shares, an average of $44 or so. I did not add any extra shares since I opened my position. And now in today's video, let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to do further down the line, what's going on with the company, and touch a little bit on the short seller report that recently came out and barely did anything with the stock price. Right now, at the time of making this video, BMNR closed out the day at $60. Pre-market, we are just under $60, $58.50. Now, if you want to learn the whole basics of that and crypto treasuries and all of that, I have a specific video that will be in the top right corner. But in simple terms, with BMNR, the higher the ETH price, the bigger the annual ETH reward will be for a BMNR. Okay, it's very, very simple. The higher the Ethereum price, the better it will be for BMNR. The more ETH that BMNR holds, the better it will be for BMNR shareholders. Now, we know that 5%, right, the alchemy of 5%, that's the goal. The goal is to reach 5%. And then what? Because we're not that far away from reaching 5%. Actually, we did have an update, of course, at the start of the week. Bitmine announces ETH holding exceeding 2.83 million tokens and total crypto and cash holdings of $13.4 billion. Bitmine now owns greater than 2% of the ETH token supply as it moves towards the alchemy of 5%. So we are getting there. And it's good to always get these types of updates. Now, again, going back to the question, if 5% is the goal, then what? Because 5% can also be just a pit stop. Maybe it's not the end goal. Maybe they will go for 6%, 7%. Who knows? Maybe 10%, right? Of course, there will be some questions of concentration risk and all of that. Yes, okay, fine. But is 5% the end goal? I don't know. Let's first reach 5% and then we'll see if they would want way more. But what happens next? Let's say we reach 5% in 2026. What happens next? Well, they could buy back shares, right? Could buy back shares in order to reward shareholders. I know some people will ask, I don't know why, people love dividends. I'm okay with dividends, but buybacks are better. And then the end option is probably going to be dividends. But I don't think dividends will be in play anytime soon. Buybacks, yes. Okay. Second of all, strategic investments. I'll give the comparison here to NVIDIA. NVIDIA invests in multiple AI startups, in multiple AI companies as a whole, right? In order to expand the NVIDIA ecosystem. BMNR could be doing the same thing. Like they're doing already the same thing right now with, right, Orbs, WorldCoin. I am still extremely skeptical about that thing, but okay, that's beside the point. To their benefit and to the benefit of the whole Ethereum ecosystem, they could invest in other companies. Make sure that other companies grow, become successful. Of course, it's up to them to choose the right one. Hopefully they know what they're doing. And grow the whole ecosystem. As the ecosystem grows, and as they have 5% or maybe more of the Ethereum supply, they're of course going to win. Right? The adoption here is quite important. Because the end goal, right? The end goal has always been, the whole financial industry is going to change, right? We're going to have tokenization everywhere, tokenized financial assets, real estate, you name it. Right? We're talking about trillions of dollars here. Now, for that to happen, first of all, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next year or in the next 2-3 years or so. It's going to take a long period of time. That's the end goal. I hope we all understand that the end goal is to change the whole infrastructure layer. And that takes time. Okay, for people that think that we're going to reach $60,000 per ETH next year, let's be realistic. So, strategic investment is an opportunity. It's definitely something that I think and I believe they will start to do as they grow more and more because it makes sense. The bigger the ecosystem, the better. Then they could become a lender, right? They could go into crypto lending. Again, it makes sense. It's one of those obvious options out there. Or they could just chill, stake, and earn money. Right? That would happen anyways. But I mean, Netflix and chill, and here you can chill and steak. I think that's a given here. Now, with all that said, what's the problem? Right? What's the problem? Well, for me, there is no problem per se. That's why I own a position, but that position is very small. For me, okay, 169 shares is worth around $10,000 right now, which is a lot of money. But compared to my other serious positions, it's not that big of a deal because I still see this as a long-term bet of something that might or might not succeed. I've seen a lot of people talk about this as if this is a 100% success story. No, it is not. I rather still focus all of my energy into buying real companies, let's call it, just to be fair here. I have a position to ride the wave of, yes, tokenization, Ethereum becoming a bigger deal, of course, since they use the Ethereum network. Yes, I do trust Tom Lee more than the others, although he's not CEO of the company, he's chairman. It's a bit different, but still, we've been following Tom Lee for a while. Some people don't like him because, it's easy to be a bull during a bull market. Well, he's been bullish for quite a while, even when people were bearish, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Then currently they are doing quite well with their strategy. Other than for me, this Orbs WorldCoin type of thing that I still think it's an orange flag, but fine. But to me, my position in this is, okay, I have exposure to this story, and that's about it. I don't need more. If it becomes successful, if Ethereum eventually really reaches $60,000, then my $10,000 that are worth today are going to be worth way more in the future, and that's completely fine. I'm not greedy. That's my exposure, and I don't want to be overexposed in case it doesn't work out. In case crypto winter is around the corner. I don't know if it is, but you never know. You never know. Because again, like I said, the higher the ETH price, the bigger the annual ETH reward. Of course, the lower the ETH price, well, the lower the annual ETH reward is going to be. Now, I could say the lower the ETH price, the more ETH that BMNR could buy. That is correct, but then again, they'd have to raise money, and we'll see how successful they will be when, well, things don't go their way. Now, quickly touching on the short seller report that recently came out, Carisdale Capital. Now, they've released numerous short seller reports along the years, Bitmine being the latest one. They've released a CoreWeave one in September, Pure Storage in September as well, Aurora in August, D-Wave Quantum in April, I agree with that, IonQ, same thing, ACM Research, Redcat, Oklo in November of 2024, Lumen Technologies in August 2024. A lot of those stocks, of course, have gone up significantly since they've released their short seller reports. Now, I don't think that they are in the red for all of them, maybe some, yes, but I just think that they have a position, they release the report, stock gets hit, they take their 10-20% or so, and they move on. That's my way of thinking about this. Because if they were to hold on to some of these quantum names and such, yeah, they'd be liquidated. And so what's the reason behind the short report? Well, one, the strategy is no longer unique. There are too many copycats. So the old edge was BMNR's original strategy was to sell its own shares at a premium, a higher price than its crypto assets were worth, and use that money, which is what they did, I think, 2-3 weeks ago, and use that money to buy more Ethereum. This increased the ETH holdings per share, creating a flywheel effect that made the stock attractive. This is also something that MicroStrategy has done. Now, the new reality, according to the short seller, this strategy is no longer unique. The market is flooded with over 150 similar companies, which have collectively raised nearly $100 billion this year. This intense competition, along with the rise of cheaper, simpler crypto investment options like ETFs, has made the BMNR stock less special, causing its premium, currently 1.2x NAV, to shrink. Now, it is true that there are a lot of crypto treasuries today. There's been a rise in crypto treasuries over the last couple of months. That is true. But BMNR is still the numero uno of Ethereum. Yes, you can be number 2, number 3, number 10, number 50, or in this case, number 150. But if you are number one can buy number 150 eventually, can buy number 100 as well to increase the Ethereum that they're holding. I do think that we're going to see quite a lot of consolidation along the way. Then, dilution problem is worsening. To keep buying ETH, BMNR consistently issues new shares. This action dilutes, lessens the ownership's percentage of existing shareholders. We know about that. We've been talking about that a bit, about MicroStrategies along the way as well. But if you look at the dilution and then you look at the performance of the stock, I don't think that shareholders 3 years ago will complain about getting diluted when they're up God knows how much. Then, the short seller argues that Bitmine's most recent $365 million capital raise was particularly bad for shareholders. They claim that due to extra incentives, the warrants given to investors, the shares were effectively sold at a discount, not a premium, which directly harms the value of the outstanding stock, which they then follow up by talking about the ETH per share, right? Because the end goal is increasing the ETH per share here. So the main way BMNR is supposed to create value for shareholders is by increasing the amount of Ethereum per share. The growth rates of Ethereum per share has plummeted from over 100% earlier this year to just 17%. When this key growth engine slows down, the stock becomes far less attractive to growth-focused investors. Well, I think this conclusion is a bit too rushed, right? It's a bit too rushed. Of course, before it went up this quickly, because it was, let's call it, a new phenomenon. It has just started, so it has grown so much. Now we're at 17%. I believe if we can continue at 17-20% for a long period of time, I don't think anyone will be complaining. Plus, again, we want to be opportunistic, right? We want to be opportunistic here. And then the last thing this says here, BMNR has reportedly stopped disclosing key performance metrics like net asset value, or NAV, and current share count since August 2025. The short seller views this as a lack of transparency, as a red flag, suggesting the company may be trying to hide its weakening financial performance and slowing growth. Well, I can't argue against that, because the more transparency, the better. So hopefully the next time that we do have an investor presentation or an earnings report, we do get all of the information. Now, one of the points that they're also making here in their thread is the following thing. Well, the last point they have actually. We're not short ETH. If you want ETH, just buy ETH. So they're not short ETH, but they are shorting the company that owns the most Ethereum. Also, if you are going to short a crypto treasury, why would you short the number one crypto treasury when you've made it quite clear that there are a lot of clones out there? Why not short the clones? I think you don't short the clones because the clones won't get as much of a market reaction as what you thought this would do, right? Right. They also talk specifically about Tom Lee. I can't find the exact post right here, but they talk about him specifically, how he's not as charismatic as Michael Saylor or something like that, and how that's a bad thing or whatnot. I don't know. Tom Lee's track record speaks for itself. He's been right more times than he's been wrong. And so to conclude, bottom line here is this. I have my position and I'm not increasing my position. I still view this as a more speculative play for me. The short seller has one or two valid concerns, I'd say, but the majority of the points raised there don't make that much sense to me. Then, as for the ultra bulls around this name, first of all, it is a name that gets a lot of attention, so be aware of that, especially since we are here on YouTube or on X. People search views and clicks and whatnot. Again, I own shares. I will update you every X amount of times if something changes. Then just be realistic. Be realistic with your goals. Don't think that this thing will go to $600 next year just because XYZ told me so, or the charts, if I draw here 10,000 lines, it will make sense. No, that's not how it works. So that's about it. That's all I have to say about my position about BMNR right now. Hopefully you enjoyed. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.